You know, sometimes a scientific paper comes along with a title so good you just have to dive in. Impostor in the Grass. I mean, how great is that? And it kicks off this amazing story of deception, survival, and a really deep evolutionary mystery. So it really all boils down to this one simple but super high-stakes question. If you saw this snake in the wild, what would you think? Venomous viper or harmless fake? And, your answer could literally mean the difference between a nice calm walk and, well, a trip to the hospital. So take a look at this. I bet your eyes are immediately drawn to that dark, zigzag pattern running right down its back, right? And in the animal kingdom, patterns like that, they're usually not just for decoration. They're basically a warning sign, this universal symbol for danger, stay away. But the big question is this warning for real? All right, so it's time to pull back the curtain and meet this snake behind this really clever disguise. And trust me, it's probably not what you're expecting. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a common grass snake. And the key thing to know, it's completely non-venomous. It's usually this kind of olive green or gray color, and its main defenses are, well, hissing or just playing dead. It's basically harmless. So remember that. That's our baseline, the standard model we need to keep in mind.
But as some researchers in Bosnia and Herzegovina just recently discovered, some of these snakes are hiding a pretty incredible secret. And it's right there in plain sight.
And this is that secret. Check this out. On the left, that's our impostor, the grass snake. And on the right, that's a real venomous viper. I mean, the resemblance is just uncanny, isn't it? The zigzag pattern, the coloring, it's an almost perfect copy. Our harmless little snake is literally dressed up as one of the most dangerous animals in its entire neighborhood. So, okay, how did this whole discovery even happen? Let's dig into the case file from Mount Veronica, because that's where this whole story unfolded. So, it all kicked off in July of 2023. That's when researchers found the very first of these viper-mimicking snakes. Then, get this, almost exactly 1 year later, a second one pops up nearby. Both of them were found right there on the slopes of Mount Veronica, which basically confirmed this wasn't just some one-off freak of nature. And this discovery, it's a big deal. It carries real scientific weight. This isn't just a, hey, that's cool observation. It's a first. For real. Researchers are pretty sure these are the first officially documented cases of a grass snake mimicking this specific kind of viper. It's opening up a whole new chapter in how we understand this species. Which, of course, brings us to the big question, right? Why go to all this trouble? What's the evolutionary motive for a totally harmless snake to dress up like a killer? Well, the answer is a brilliant evolutionary con game called Bayesian mimicry. The idea is pretty simple. If you're harmless, just pretend you're not. Evolve to look like one of the tough guys in your area. Predators who've learned the hard way to avoid the actually dangerous species will end up leaving you alone too. It's a life-saving bluff, and it's genius. But, for any performance, you need an audience. So who exactly is this grass snake trying to fool with its super convincing viper costume?
Well, the prime suspect looks to be the hooded crow. These birds are all over the area. So common, in fact, that the mountain's name, Vernica, literally means crow in Bosnian. How cool is that? And we all know crows are incredibly intelligent predators that hunt by sight, which makes them the perfect audience for a visual trick like this.
And just how smart are we talking? Well, in the same area, researchers watched crows meticulously, and I mean meticulously, skin poisonous toads just to eat the non-toxic parts. This quote from the paper says it all. They selectively removed the toxic skin to be able to safely consume the remains. So we're not just talking about predators, we're talking about problem-solving strategists. So think about it. You're not going to fool a predator that clever with a sloppy disguise. No way. The very fact that this mimicry exists tells us it must be incredibly effective. That snake's life literally depends on its costume being convincing enough to trick one of nature's sharpest minds. But wait, this story gets even deeper. The pattern on this snake might not just be a trick for today's world. It could actually be an echo from the distant past. And this brings us to this absolutely fascinating idea of fossil behavior. So what is it? It's when a trait, like a defensive pose or a specific pattern, just sticks around for thousands of years, even if the original reason for it, like, say, the specific viper it was copying, isn't even in the area anymore. It's like a ghost of an old evolutionary pressure. And we actually see this happen elsewhere. For example, some grass snake populations way over in Europe will do this thing where they rear up and flatten their heads to look like a cobra, even though there haven't been cobras there for like an eternity.
The viper mimicry on Mount Vranica could be the exact same thing, a genetic memory, a holdover from a time when the vipers it's copying were common there, even if they aren't today.
And that, right there, is the crucial point. That's the big takeaway. This snake's zigzag pattern, it's so much more than just a clever trick. It's a living piece of evolutionary history. It's a story written right into its scales, a living, breathing connection to a past environment, past predators, and the relentless, grinding pressure of evolution. It shows us that adaptation isn't just about surviving right here, right now. It's also a record of a species' deep, deep past, a history that can stick around long after the original conditions are gone.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, if a common, everyday snake can carry a story that profound, what other incredible evolutionary secrets are hiding all around us just in plain sight?